And you give yourself some grace too.
Exactly. That's the compassion.
It's like, dude, give yourself some grace, man.
Quit beating yourself up.
Give yourself some grace. It's the least you can do right now. You can do it.
Exactly.
Just give yourself a little bit of grace. That's one thing I've had a tough time with.
And I would say probably for most of the people we work with, self-compassion is the hardest thing for them to learn.
Why is it hard for us to have self-compassion?
Because shame says, I deserve to beat myself up because I'm a loser. And often complex trauma parenting is the way to motivate a child to want to change and be better is to beat them up and put them down and punish them. And then they're going to want to prove you wrong. But that doesn't work in the long run. Eventually you start to believe you are a loser and you just give up. But you still got all those things in your head that you keep putting yourself down. And then for many people, there's that justice piece that if I commit the crime, I got to do the time. And so I did something bad. I'm a bad person. I got to punish myself before I can let myself out of prison. And so there's that sense of justice that has to be served in their mind.
And so if they're too hard on themselves, then they're going to be punishing themselves for crimes that aren't even real.
And you're in prison forever because you never let yourself out.
Yeah. Well, for a long time, I didn't know what was going on. And for me, I got into recovery programs in the 12-step, and that helped me for the first time have a little bit of a clue. I heard people share stuff things I could never put into words.
Okay.
You know? I mean, that was one of the blessings about being in sometimes recovery in 12-step rooms was you had like 20 people thinking at once.
Yes.
And so sometimes someone would say what you wanted to and couldn't. And so that gave me a first start to look at myself. I was so stuck to me. I couldn't see me at all. And so some ways that like things that were having a tough time in my life, huge problems trusting people. Didn't trust, huge problems with that. One thing I noticed really recently, still unrealistic expectations of myself and other people. And I've always had them. It's like, and I realized that I think some of it is like, I want to make it so, like, if I have unrealistic expectations of myself, then I'm never going to be able to achieve them.
The bar's too high.
Right. And then I'll always be what I thought I always was anyway.
Exactly.
Which was not enough.
So that's where shame creates a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. So that's like, and now I'm able to see that a little. But before, I was just stuck on that Ferris wheel,
Yep.
Yep. And it still happens. That's a tough one recently for me. Self-pity. That was a huge one. That was my biggest drug in life that I never realized was self-pity. And I reframed it for myself. I was like, if I just keep trying, I'll get everything. I have to work harder. I have to be better. I can't go do something fun with my friends. I need to stay and write a book. Or it was just like these unrealistic expectations. But I was always keeping myself in a place of self-pity without realizing it.
Yes.
Because that was a side effect of having unrealistic expectations. And man, that self-pity but it looked like on the outside I was trying to better myself. So I was always, does it make any sense to you?
So can I ask you with that? Because what you're describing is very common in the world I work in. So a lot would say unrealistic expectations. So you're always setting the bar too high for yourself, which is always leading to failure, which is self-pity as the aftermath. But what you're thinking is, but I'm trying. Yes. But what's happening often with the self-pity, and so here's my question, is there's this growing sense of helplessness and hopelessness. Did you go through that? Or was there always, I can somehow rise above if I just dig a little deeper?
That was me.
Okay. And that's what I was talking about with the sympathetic nervous system. I'm getting tired. I'm starting to burn out, but if I dig a little deeper, I can push, I can keep going until you eventually do burn out.